The fall is one of my absolute favorite times of the year. It's such beautiful weather, delicious foods, pumpkin things, all kinds of seasonal specialties, and of course, one of my favorite things is celebrating the fall equinox. I'm Mavius Lynn, and welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome. I'm a ceremonial magician and practicing occultist, and here on my channel I do lots of educational content as well as share, bits of my life and path and journey with you all. So for the fall equinox, my celebration looked rather traditional for ceremonial magic, but also rather new and introducing new elements. So the traditional stuff I did was drawing oracles, which a lot of ceremonial magicians practice on the equinoxes. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn also used to draw, and some, Golden Dawn orders today draw a new password for the equinoxes. And Aleister Crowley actually would draw oracles on the equinoxes as well, and for him it was sort of predicting the magical current to come, and that's really how I use it. I see, not saying this absolutely has to be the case, but I like to see if there's any relationship between the things I pull or, any kind of pattern that comes out of it. I just think it's really interesting, and it's fun to go back and look in my trusty journal where I record everything, if that really had something to say about the months that came after. And in my case, of course I gotta record the one I did, and I like to use a bunch of different types of oracles. I did bibliomancy, runes, I drew a card from the Thoth deck, the Celtic Tree Oracle deck, geomancy, and the I Ching. So I sort of took a look to see if there's any relationship between those or predicts a pattern. And then sort of mixing it up was this lovely Tea Wishes Grimoire. I was asked to do a review on this, which I'm so excited about. I love tea. Even sitting here, I got my cup of tea, and what a perfect thing. So, as you all know, my experience is with ceremonial magic, and I really don't have much experience with witchcraft, although I love dabbling in it sometimes, so I felt like I was a great candidate to check out and spell in this book and see, is it accessible? Do I get it? And yeah, it's absolutely accessible. If you wanted to add something, spell or ritual, I think this is a great resource, especially something more tea focused. And, in terms of trying it out, I was like, oh, do they have something for the fall equinox? And they absolutely do. Autumn Equinox or Fall Equinox ritual / spell. And that's the one I did. So I wanted to share with you all, walk you through what a day is like for me and celebrating the equinox. I hope this inspires and enlightens and encourages you all there to go be your true authentic selves and keep a spirit of creativity and joy and wonder. So the first thing I did was make offerings and decorate the altars in my home. The two altars I did was my Anubis altar as well as my Moon Goddess altar. That's of course not all of the altars in the home, but those are the two I involved in the equinox. The Anubis altar was something I actually hand painted myself, and basically this altar invites in care and remembrance for those we have lost. And as you can see, I have beautiful wheat offering as well as incense. Here is my Moon Goddess altar, where I am putting some incense as an offering. Also on the table, I left some wheat as part of the offering. This altar acts to attract lunar energy, to cultivate intuition and the element of air. That purple altar cloth was something that I made. It's time to get everything ready for the tea ritual. Now that the altars are set up, I can really feel the energy in the house waken up and start to invite in that beautiful fall energy. For the ritual, I have oolong tea, chamomile, dried apple pieces, and a cinnamon stick, which is so wonderful. And of course, that is all being done in a cast iron teapot, which I was lucky enough to snag as well. Here is everything all set up on the table, and I really like to write out the words of the ritual so there isn't like additional text from the book that could be distracting and everyone knows what to say. According to the book, the best time to do this ritual is at sunset, which is what we strive to do. Of course, life gets in the way, and we didn't do it exactly at sunset. In our case, the actual equinox was at 2 a.m., And traditionally you would be doing your working on the equinox, but we were not awake at 2 a.m. So we were not going to do it then, but we followed the book's instructions and tried to do it at sunset. The wreath, which was a part of the ritual, was comprised of rosemary, sage, and bay. They also offer some other additional suggestive things to put in, but we just kept it simple. And we placed our traditional cast iron teapot at the center of the wreath. And of course, beside the wreath, we have paper tags meant for you to write your intention on, or your wish and what you want to bring out of the equinox. In my case, I was hoping for success with my health and my writing and everything I hope to do, as well as success in my personal life with cultivating meaningful friendships and love and romance. So we did that, and we did burn some fall incense, and they suggested doing myrrh, as well as marigold and sage. We did have myrrh available. So, of course, being a ceremonial magician, this book doesn't talk about doing a banishing before you begin your work, but it just felt too weird not to banish. So I did the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram around our dining room table, and then we sat down and began the ritual, which, you know, everything is in the teapot. You pour the hot water in the teapot, and then as the tea mixture is steeping, then you say the words. We give thanks to the bounty of Mother Earth. May we too find our own bounty and wishes fulfilled. And another little note on this is I wanted to recognize our father, the sun, which is, of course, being a Thelemite, that solar phallic energy, and recognizing that we are in the Aeon of Horus is so important to me. So instead of just saying Mother Earth, I just said Mother Earth and our father, the sun. So I did include that little bit. After we said the words, we attached the wishes we wrote on the paper with the ribbon I provided. You could also just use string. And after the tea was done steeping, we served the tea and toasted to our wishes and sealed the ritual and the spell by drinking the tea together. So after we did the tea ritual, we moved into drawing oracles. I thought the tea ritual was so beautiful, and it was a lot of fun after doing the tea ritual to have the tea to drink, especially while drawing oracles. I really enjoyed that. It was so beautiful. I've got to do some more tea magic for sure. So the first thing I did was I did bibliomancy from the Book of the Law. I know on other videos on my channel I demonstrate bibliomancy, but I really just feel the energy and I feel my way through the Book of the Law and come up with a word. The word I got was from the first chapter, line 58, and the word was peace, which is so beautiful. And I also was the person who chose the runes. I went to pick a rune after shaking up the pile, and 2 popped out. So out of the 2 runes, one sort of stands for success, grain, and harvest, really appropriate, and the other stands for stability, defense, and perseverance. All wonderful things going into the coming months and something I absolutely want to cultivate. The card I chose from the Thoth deck was the Ace of Swords. And my partner chose other oracles. He chose from the Celtic Tree Oracle, and he chose Muin, so I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm doing the best I can. And that oracle card stands for prophecy. The geomancy he got was strength. And from the I Ching, that was really interesting. I love watching him do the I Ching. There were no moving lines, and he got from it family perseverance through the woman of the household. And normally what I'm sharing with you right now is incredibly private, so this isn't something I would tell everyone all the time, but I really like sharing this to demonstrate what you can do, because ultimately part of my path is sharing and encouraging and inspiring others. And so here's an example of everything you can do and draw from to use for oracles, and I hope you found that super helpful. It was certainly a pleasure to do. I really loved it. So the question is often asked, do Thelemites celebrate holidays? And yes, we absolutely do. Spelled out in our central sacred holy text, the Book of the Law, which is behind me, and there's also a bunch more copies up there. But this bad boy over here spells out a bunch of holidays, which I talk quite extensively on my channel, and you should check that out. But it does spell out that the equinoxes should be celebrated. Now, that doesn't mean you can only celebrate that. You're free to celebrate not only the Thelemic holy days as spelled out by the Book of the Law, but also incorporate anything else for you. Wiccans have something called the Wheel of the Year, which we don't have a Wheel of the Year. That's a Gerald Gardner Wicca specific thing. But we do have holy days according to the Book of the Law. But, you know, of course, Thelemites are such an eclectic group that I do see a lot of Thelemites adding in additional pagan holidays or even celebrating the cross quarters of the Wiccan Wheel of the Year. And there's been, you know, since time, Thelemites have added to the holidays and celebrations. I personally like a whole bunch of different traditions and celebrations throughout the year. I do observe definitely the equinoxes, that's really a big one. And I like to throw in, you know, I like celebrating Crowleymas, which is unofficial, but it's just so fun, and some of these other celebrations as well. So that brings us to the question of how we spent the rest of our evening on this beautiful equinox. And we spent it by feasting and then playing video games. So for our feast, it was entirely vegetarian. Me and my partner are both vegetarian. And interesting side note, in addition to our kitchen being vegetarian, it's also kosher. So for dinner, we had some pumpkin scones as an appetizer, which were so good. Green beans, because I'm Southern, I've got to have my green beans for a feast. And we had vegetarian meatballs and some delicious fall-themed pasta. The dessert we had was a pumpkin roll cake, and I think we also had some other just regular pumpkin cakes. So we had a lot of sweet pumpkin things going on, and it was wonderful. I love food. I love celebrating with food, and I just think it's so special when you can incorporate your magic and your traditions with the food you consume. It's just another layer of experiencing the magic of a holiday or holy day. There was enough of a chill on the air that it seemed appropriate to start a fire, and while we enjoyed the heat of the fire, we booted up Baldur's Gate 3, so it was both of our first time playing the game, and I'm super impressed. What a fun game, and I love playing video games with other people, so that was even better for me. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. And if you are interested in picking up your own copy of the tea, which is Grimoire, which I highly recommend it, go check out Wiser for that. It's coming out in October. So thank you so much for watching. And as always, I am the center of expression for the primal will to good, and so are you.